It is 1:22 a.m. inside a nuclear power plant in Soviet Ukraine.
Right.
In the control room of reactor number 4, alarms are flashing. The operators, they're confused. Power levels are dangerously unstable.
And in less than 2 minutes, the most catastrophic nuclear accident in human history is going to begin. This is the story of the last 10 minutes before Chernobyl exploded.
The supreme irony of Chernobyl is that the plant wasn't supposed to be in any danger that night.
Right.
The engineers weren't running a normal operation. They were actually conducting a safety test.
That's right. The question they wanted to answer was really pretty simple.
Okay.
The plant experienced a total blackout. Could the residual energy from the turbines, which are still spinning, power the emergency water pumps long enough for the backup diesel generators to kick in?
Wow.
It was a test to increase safety.
But a cascade of problems had already put the reactor on a knife's edge.
Yeah.
The test was delayed for hours, which pushed it onto the less experienced night shift.
Oh, no.
And earlier, the reactor's power had plummeted to almost zero. That's a state where the RBMK reactor design was known to be unpredictable.
So to recover from that power drop, the operators had to pull out way more control rods than regulations allowed. They were basically fighting a phenomenon called xenon poisoning. It's where a byproduct of fission acts like a sponge, soaking up neutrons and just stifling the reaction.
Wow.
So to keep it going, they had to take extreme measures, overriding one safety system after another.
So, by 1:22 a.m., conditions inside Reactor 4 are a perfect storm. Steam pressure is rising, cooling water levels are dropping, and the control rods, the reactor's brakes, are almost all withdrawn.
Right.
The reactor is a runaway train with no brakes, but the operators in the control room, they don't fully grasp the danger they're in.
At 1:23 and 4 seconds, the test begins. They close the turbine valves, and almost immediately, something goes wrong. An unexpected power surge begins.
For 36 agonizing seconds, the operators just watch the power levels climb.
Right.
Then, at 1:23:40 seconds, Leonid Toptunov, the senior reactor control engineer, does the only thing he's been trained to do in an emergency. He presses the AZ5 button, the emergency shutdown.
It was meant to be the button that saved them. The SCRAM button that would drive all the control rods back into the core and stop the reaction cold.
But...
Instead, it triggered the apocalypse.
And this is where the fatal design flaw comes in. The RBMK's control rods had graphite tips. So think of it this way. The boron in the rods is the real brake pedal.
Okay, a brake.
But the graphite tip is a small temporary gas pedal. For just a few seconds, as the rods went in, the graphite tips displaced water.
Right.
Which actually increased the reaction rate at the bottom of the core.
In a stable reactor, this effect was negligible. You wouldn't even notice.
Right.
But in Chernobyl's volatile state, it was catastrophic. For a few horrifying seconds, power just surged uncontrollably.
Wow.
It skyrocketed to over 100 times the reactor's normal output. The fuel rods instantly shattered.
The immense energy turned the remaining cooling water into steam in an instant. At 1:23:58 a.m., that steam pressure caused a massive first explosion, tearing the reactor apart from the inside. An engineer, Alexander Yuvchenko, described it not as a loud bang, but a deep, shuddering thud.
And just 2 or 3 seconds later, a second, much more powerful explosion blew the 1,000-ton concrete lid, the upper biological shield, straight up into the air.
Oh my God.
It flipped over and crashed back down, leaving the glowing, white-hot reactor completely exposed to the night sky.
Yuvchenko described a terrifyingly beautiful sight.
Wow.
He saw this laser-like beam of bluish light from the ionization of the air, shooting up from the reactor into infinity. He was mesmerized for a few seconds.
Right.
Before an older, more experienced colleague yanked him to safety. And those few seconds saved his life.
In the control room, there was just shock and disbelief. The deputy chief engineer, Anatoly Datmov, he refused to believe the reactor was gone. He insisted it was just a hydrogen tank explosion on the roof.
No.
Before ordering men to go manually turn on the emergency coolant pumps, pumps that no longer existed.
When the first firefighters arrived, they had no idea. They just saw a fire on a roof and went to put it out, completely unaware that they were walking into a lethal field of radiation. They were fighting flames that glowed within an invisible, deadly threat.
You know, this wasn't just a technical accident.
No.
It was a chain reaction of human decisions and systemic flaws. A flawed reactor design that was a state secret. A culture of cutting corners to meet political pressure, warnings from other plants that were just ignored. The test had to continue no matter the risk.
10 minutes. That's all it took for a safety test to become the world's worst industrial disaster.
10 minutes.
10 minutes of instability, confusion, and a fatally flawed design that created a wound on our planet that will not heal for thousands of years.
You know, the Chernobyl disaster forced a global reckoning with nuclear safety and became a terrifying symbol of our faith in technology outstripping our wisdom. It reminds us that sometimes the most catastrophic failures begin with the best of intentions.
Now, here's a question we'd like you to think about. Faced with a system you were told was safe, but that was behaving in a way you couldn't understand, would you follow the rules or would you trust your gut and hit the emergency stop?